Welcome to The Explainer. We use the word personality all the time, right? But have you ever stopped to think about what it actually means? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today.
All right, so let's jump right in, and we're going to start by tackling the biggest misconception about personality. Is it all just about, what someone looks like on the outside? I mean, of course you have, right? Just think about it for a second. The people you work with, your family, your friends, we're all surrounded by this amazing mix of different kinds of people.
And you see these differences every single day. You've got your reserved, cautious friends, and then you have the ones who are super bold and outgoing. Well, it's all of those different traits, all those characteristics that come together to create what we call a personality. But, and this is a big but, here's where a lot of us get it twisted. It's so easy to think that personality is just about someone's appearance. How they dress, how they look. And yeah, sure, how someone looks is part of how we see them, but it is such a tiny, tiny piece of a much, much bigger and more interesting puzzle.
Okay, so if it's not just about looks, what is the real meaning of personality? What's actually going on under the hood?
Well, here's the official take. Personality is that characteristic pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that makes each person totally unique. And the keywords there are characteristic pattern. It's not a one-off thing. It's about consistency. It's what sets you apart from literally everyone else. And you know what's really cool? The origin of the word itself. It actually comes from the Latin word persona.
See, way back in ancient Greece and Rome, actors would wear these masks on stage to play different characters. And those masks, they were called personas. The word literally meant to speak through. The actor would speak through the mask to the audience. So think about that. Just like those masks, our personality is kind of the mask we present to the world. It's how we show our inner selves through our actions, our words. It's the whole package of how we interact with everything and everyone around us.
So that leads to a big question, right? How does this super complex thing we call personality even get formed in the first place? Where does it come from? Well, the first thing you've got to know is that it doesn't just appear overnight. It's not something you're just born with, all set in stone. No, it's a really long, slow process, something that's shaped and molded over your entire life. It really does build over time, kind of like a sculpture being slowly created. When we're kids, the basic clay is formed by our biology, our natural temperament, and of course, our family. Then, as we hit our teen years, our friends and the culture around us start to carve out the details. And it's not like it just stops there. It keeps evolving all through our adult lives, every time we face something new. And this all points to three really key characteristics. First, it's unique. I mean, no two people on Earth have the exact same personality. Second, it's dynamic. That means it can change, it can adapt. And third, it's systemic. Think of it like an operating system. It takes in information from the world and produces your behavior. Okay, all this theory is great, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. For that, we're going to look at an incredible example. The story of Dhirubhai Ambani. I mean, it is an absolute masterclass in how specific personality traits can fuel unbelievable success, even when the odds are stacked against you. His journey was, wow, just extraordinary. Look, his success was no accident. It was driven by a really specific mix of personality traits. The man had unbelievable grit, that ability to just keep going. He was proactive, always one step ahead. He took calculated risks. He was super conscientious, paying attention to every single detail. And he was completely focused on timeliness. That combination, that's what made him different. And get this, he supposedly started his entire business empire with just 50,000 rupees back in the 60s. Just let that sink in for a second. To go from that to building one of India's biggest companies, that entire journey was powered by those internal traits we just talked about. That was his personality, in action, for the whole world to see. Okay, so we've defined what personality is, and we've seen it in action with a really powerful example. So what's the bottom line here? Why does any of this actually matter to you? It's actually pretty simple. The bottom line is this. Your personality, that unique pattern of how you think, feel, and act, directly impacts your success. It has a real, tangible effect on whether you achieve the things you want out of life. Think about it. Your personality really does shape your path. It affects your performance, right? Just like Ambani's focus on details drove his results. It influences if you hit your goals. His grit is what kept him going.
It even decides how well you adapt when things change. These traits are always working, always defining your journey.
And so that brings us to a final question, something for you to think about. What about your personality? What are your unique, consistent patterns? And how are they helping, or maybe even hindering you on your own journey?